Kenya's biggest conversation, broadcasting on SpiceFM, and we're also live streaming the show, SpiceFM KE, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and our website, www.spicefm.co.ke. City Muga, with your sack of proverbs.
You cannot steal a head of a goat from the butcher and put it in a sack, for the horns will stick out. The beauty of Proverbs is that you don't focus on the grammar. You just focus on the meaning. Okay? And this is what happens when you want to translate something from some native language into the English language.
Use the long route.
Focus on the meaning.
I think this one, I'm actually focusing on the source. It must have come from the butcher.
These
trying to dissuade people.
It's from the Shona community.
Don't try and steal the goods from my butchery, because I'll be able to see.
By the way, this is a community that is actually known to keep cattle. Traditionally. Whether they do now is a different matter, but traditionally they were known to keep cattle.
Oh, and that's why they think that a goat's horns are as long as a cow's.
If you come from a community where people harvest honey, and they're beekeepers, they will have bee-related proverbs. If you come from a community that neighbors a forest or a jungle, as we like calling it, you will have proverbs that deal with animals. Okay. Now, I'm not talking about the sort of concrete jungles where the animals are dealing with the beetles and flies.
Or humans.
Or humans, yes. And probably the occasional bird. That's wildlife.
Okay. So then let's talk about money.
Yes.
Okay. And let's talk about money with somebody who has money. His name is Brian Myers. Brian is the CEO of, pronounce this, Equiti Brokerage.
Correct.
But without a Y.
Without a Y, yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Equity with an I at the end.
You guys know us in Kenya as EGM Securities, FX Pesa.
FX Pesa is the main product.
Yep. EGM Securities is the licensed brokerage in Kenya, and FX Pesa is the product.
Okay. So what's FX Pesa?
Well, hello, by the way. Thank you so much for having me. Situation Room. It's great to be here. What a privilege. So yeah, I'm Brian Myers, the CEO of Equiti Brokerage. FX Pesa, we came to the market in Kenya 3 years ago. I think about 5 or 6 years ago, there was a lot of issues with brokerages in Kenya. They were taking people's money, scams, running away with people's money, unscrupulous players. So it looked like Kenya really needed a licensed brokerage to make finance safe. So we worked with your regulator. It took us a couple of years to do the paperwork to construct a regulated environment like we have elsewhere in the world. I was CEO in the UK as well. And it's been a fantastic journey. Been here for 3 years, building the industry, hiring lots of people, investing in the community ever since, and trying to make sure that when people want to invest in products like gold, like FX, the euro, dollar, oil, shares in Apple, Tesla, US stocks, European stocks, they can do that now for us at FX Pesa in a completely safe environment.
Okay. This one, you have walked in feet first. So I'm going to ask, how then do we differentiate you from the scammers and from these people who promise heaven and don't give you anything even close to earth?
Yeah. You are jumping straight in. Great. That's why I'm here, really, to mainly discuss this. Even last week, the CMA released a cautionary statement to say that there was a company that was offering 400% return in 6 hours. Right. So
how come I didn't hear of this?
That 500 shilling CT. I mean,
yeah, and you know, and it's the thing with that is that you know, your gut tells you this is obviously a scam. You know, people that have been around the block a bit, people that maybe are financially literate, but there are unfortunately thousands of people across the world falling for this still daily. So when you get regulation, and we're regulated all over the world. So Equiti, we're regulated in the UK. We've got offices in the States. We've got offices in New Zealand, all across the Middle East. I live in Dubai, Armenia. You know, it's just we're everywhere. And then when you're regulated locally, you have certain rules that are governed, right? So, for example, if you were going to send me your funds, I have to segregate all of your money. It's called client money rules. So I can't use your money at all. I put your money in a segregated bank account. Whatever happens with the brokerage, your money's safe. Now, when there's unregulated brokers or scammers, they're taking your money and immediately they're using your money for operations, to hire staff, to buy whatever they want to buy, right? And invariably, if they have a bad month, they can just close the doors and run out. So that's why regulation is so important to tackle the scammers, because you've always got people governing you and you're working closely with the regulators. So what we're trying to promote to stop the scams is people to improve their financial literacy, to understand things like, who are they trading with, understanding, are they established, do they have enough funds capacity to run the operation. With financial literacy, we're trying to promote people to get their own education, to understand finance more. And once they do that, I think that the way that financial literacy increases, scams are going to go down. Less people are going to believe things like 400% return in 6 hours.
Who regulates all this in Kenya?
Central Markets Authority, CMA.
And they've been here all along when these scammers have actually been in Kenya as well. So what on earth have they been regulating?
I can't speak to that. I mean, I know in the last 3 years, yeah.
I asked it deliberately. Because if they're the regulators and all these things have been happening in this country, see, the question, what bothers me is this teeny little bit of information. Money is given to you, you segregate it as you said, it is kept aside. What is the guarantee that it stays kept aside? Because if the regulators are the same regulators, and we've had all these problems, their regulatory functions have to be questioned.
Why are you asking that, City?
I'm asking that because banks are regulated more than any other institution that I know of.
Yes, and they still collapse.
Not only do they collapse with people's money. I've had 2 banks that have collapsed with my money. It was just probably 2,000 shillings, but it was still my money. Okay? Now, I see this, and I'm told there's a shaky in investment culture, and I'm thinking, but these people have to be registered to be able to do this. Now, if there's a regulator, one, they should have weeded these people out, or the threshold should have been such that they know and they understand. So how do we get to the point where this happens to all these unsuspecting would-be investors? That's really where I'm going with my questions.
So maybe what's the enforcement then? What enforcement measures does the regulator put on you?
I think
you have like a daily reporting structure?
The reporting is obviously huge. You've got to have a big governance structure. A huge governance structure. You've got to do your reporting. You're audited. You've got internal audit, external audit. I think in answer to your question, that it's because we need to improve the literacy rates. People still go to unregulated brokers. So if Kenyans wanted to find out who the regulated brokers were to trade the products I just mentioned, they can find out very, very simply. Unfortunately, you've still got people trying to sell to them from outside of Kenya, and they're not. Why I'm here today and why I've just been to all of our offices in Ketengela and Sika, and I'm relentless in trying to put this message across. Is the more people we speak to get this message to, the safer the environment's going to come. Because if ultimately, what I don't want to happen is that people there's more people coming into trading now than there has ever been previously, all across the world. Like, I don't know about you guys, but majority of people I speak to at the minute, they want to trade gold. They've got an opinion on oil. Oil went negative last year. What does that mean? Apple, Tesla. People want to get involved during coronavirus. So because they wanted to get involved during the coronavirus, because unfortunately this virus pushed people into their house and they needed to find an income online, right? The 5th most searched term on Google in Kenya was, how do you make money online? So they're in their house, they're looking for an income or second income or hustle. So they're looking at trading. All these people that are coming through, unfortunately, of course, a lot of them are looking for the quick buck, the get rich quick scheme. And they're on social media and they're hearing that people are making all this money very quickly. So they're not doing their due diligence and their research into who's the regulated broker that I should be doing this with. They're just rushing in. And that's why I'm spending so much time trying to speak to the markets and clients, and we're doing workshops and podcasts and seminars. We're relentless in the content we're doing to just try and get people to be educated.
So Brian, you mentioned something which in my opinion, I think it's clear that people are being scammed because they don't have an understanding or the
Yeah.
adequate literacy to understand all of this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, okay, so come in, someone such as yourselves, what exactly is happening? People are you the place, the platform upon which now people have their money, whatever small amount,
Yeah.
and are able to invest it? You give the advice. So are you giving this
No,
advice?
we don't give
Okay.
advice.
How then are you helping in terms of people's investments? What
Yeah.
exactly are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good question. So we're the provider of the platform for people to trade on their mobile phones. Okay, so obviously, undeniably, there's a huge wave now of people in Kenya that spend 7 hours plus on their mobile phones every day. Most people have got their phones with them all the time, but Kenyans have got it surgically attached to their hand, and they're looking for a platform to trade things like gold and currencies and Apple. We give them the platform, but the main thing that we do as well is we educate. So we're always doing workshops. We're at floor 12 in Delta Tower in Westlands in Nairobi. We're at Tower 1 in the middle of Nakuru. We've got, as I said, in Thika, Ketengela, we're open in Eldoret. And we're educating non-stop to try and make people grow and understand these things for themselves, right? So a couple of years ago, Standard & Poor did a survey of financial literacy across the world. And when they did this survey, they were asking really simple questions like, do you understand when you take out a loan, what the repayments are going to be? What's diversification of risk? And when they went to European countries, 70 to 75% of the time, people were literate. They understood the answers to these questions. When they came to Africa or East Africa, they were speaking to Kenyans. It was 38% of people that understand the answers to these questions. So the society isn't going to learn by trusting to give people their money and then just sit back, right? When you give them the platform and the education, you're growing their literacy forever. Like I know myself when I started in this, the first year, 2 years, I made some mistakes, probably did a couple of errors, probably some shortcuts, wanted to earn too much money immediately, didn't understand things like compound interest, all these things. And then over time, you get so much better and you start to realize what you're doing. And year after year, you're growing your own knowledge. And why is this so important? Well, the statistic we see is that 70% of Kenyans enter their retirement with less than 1 million shillings. Okay, so that's 1 million shillings. Hopefully you're blessed and you've still got your parents, you've got kids, you've got grandkids, you're trying to help all of these people. How do you, it's not enough, right? How do you change that? You're not going to earn your way to financial freedom. Most people think, okay, I'll go to school, I'll get a good job, I'll earn more money than I spend, and I'll get a considerable amount of savings. The reality is that doesn't happen. It never happens. The more your life goes on, the more children, etc. I've got 3 children. I know how expensive it is. The more you spend. How do you combat that? You combat that by learning very early financial literacy and education, and start to invest and start to build your portfolio and understand what you're doing. That's how we're going to tackle this.
So when someone walks into FX Pesa today, in any of the offices that you've said, Delta Towers in Nairobi, or the Tower 1 in Nakuru and the other places, what's the first thing that they ask for? And what's the first, in terms of if you look at average, what's the first thing that they ask for, and what kind of information do you immediately give them?
Yeah, I mean, your listeners can text join to 40184, and that will actually walk them through as a newbie, if you were going to come to us from scratch. Okay, so we always say very simply, save, understand, invest, and be patient. It's very noisy out there. There's a lot of people giving education, a lot of people screaming that you can make a lot of money. We try and strip out all the noise to people that are coming to us for the first time. We say, unfortunately, the bit we can't help with is the save part. That's the tough part. How are you going to? What are you going to do in your life that you're going to earn more money than you're spending? But everyone's got to take that upon themselves to go out and find a way to do that. Otherwise, you can't build this. And then it's the understand. So you come to us, and then we can give you a demo platform which has got fantasy money on the platform, so you can start to practice all the stuff that we're teaching you and not lose any money until you're very, very happy to commit your first real trade with your real money. We're going to give you. We're always doing webinars, so we're doing webinars on things like technical analysis. We're doing things like webinars on. You can just get on our website and we'll give you a whole schedule. So you're doing webinars. We're doing seminars in person in Nairobi. We've got a big workshop that people come to us every single day, and we're consistent. Obviously coronavirus dependent. We're revolving the workshops and training. I'm on social media. Follow me at Brian _ Equiti. all day. I'm trying to educate and trying to give my mistakes that I did when I was younger and try and learn from my mistakes. Podcasts, emails, SMS. We're on Telegram. We're giving technical analysis daily of what we see in the markets, on what's happening with gold, what's happening with euro dollar. It really is about kind of honing in on what's important, but repetition is the key to mastery, right? We just want to make sure that we're consistently sending the same. Yeah,
it sounds very technical. If I just listen to it from that point, you know, because I'm just looking back at what we have stock brokerages in Kenya. There's an IPO, it's for whatever company, and you just hear, how much do I need to spend? Minimum X, put in the money and wait for the results.
Yeah.
Then you start complaining, I put in money and this
There you
company,
go,
I've not been getting money. So when someone is walking to you and they are now hearing FX and they're wondering, so am I buying stocks? I'm hearing you talking about commodities, about gold, about oil. It's all very complicated. And that's why I'm asking. So when someone walks into your office for the first time and they say, you know what, I'd like to invest some money, what is the first thing that you tell them?
Yeah. So as I said, definitely to come on board, start to learn, start to do reading around it. I would always recommend not just listening to. I'd always recommend understanding. Is someone in a position to be able to talk to you and to teach you something, right? What's their background? I think far too many people are going onto social media nowadays, following a kid that's 17 that's rented a Ferrari for half an hour and stood in front of it, and they're believing that this is the story, right?
Yes.
And it's a big problem. Why is it? It's a problem because the youth of today they're looking for instant gratification, right? If they want a date, they'll swipe on an app. If they want a taxi, they want it in 10 minutes. If they want a delivery, they want it same next day. No one's waiting for anything. That's not the case with wealth creation. That is not the case with wealth creation. You do have to come on board, and you're going to have to learn and listen. It's not as complex, hopefully, as I'm maybe making it sound, because we walk with you through it. Right? We walk with you through it. So we'll be consistently training you on different bits and pieces. Come on board. As I said, text join to 40184. We can get you set up on the platform, demo, not risking anything. We can talk to you about what product you're interested in trading. You raise a good point, Eric, that when I first came to Kenya almost 3 years ago, the thing that I noticed was that everyone was trading local equities plus bonds, right? Local equities plus bonds. And I think that's because probably your parents are telling you local equities, NSC or whatever. It's a big world out there. And at that time, the NSC wasn't performing. There's very limited amount of stocks that you actually are making money on when you trade in local stocks. And we offer stock futures. We offer Safaricom. You can come and trade that with us. But at the same time as that, going back into last March, if you were trading US equities, you were getting returns on things like Tesla, where you were genuinely getting 800, 900,000% return in a year on these big US stocks. So what we did is we came to Kenya and we democratized this sort of stuff. We opened the door to Kenyans. We said, great, if you like trading NSE stocks, if you like trading bonds, continue to do so. But when the economy is not performing, or the stock market in Kenya is not performing, there's a big world out there. You can trade US stocks, you can trade, UK stocks, and that's one of the things we're doing is we really are offering the possibilities to Kenyans that they did not have before.
And what are the guarantees of safety? Because it's a huge thing for a lot of people that I'm putting in my hard-earned savings or funds. How can I be guaranteed that they are safe? You're talking about, and the thing about the NSC, for example, whether it's an illusion in the minds of people, it is something that is here.
Yeah.
And now you're saying, let's try to trade in things that are foreign and are away from your current domiciled existence, right?
Yep.
So what are the guarantees of safety? And some of these things that you talk about, foreign exchange, the gold that you've mentioned a couple of times, US trade, Amazon, Tesla, things like that. What are the guarantees that they're safe?
Breaking down the guarantees. So we've already discussed, obviously, don't send your funds. Whether you come to us, we're the biggest, we're the first, we're the best. I want you to come to us, of course, we'll take care of you. But whether you do or not, go to a regulated broker because of, I said, the client money protections.
Sure. Don't
go to an unregulated broker. Don't send your money elsewhere outside of Kenya. It's just not worth the risk. So that's the first one, to make sure you're with a regulated broker, your money's safe. When you then commit the money to a trade, we teach you how you can always put, it's called a stop loss, so you can always pick how much money you're risking on that trade. Right? Do you want to risk $5, 50 shillings, whatever, you know, whatever it is you want to risk, you can risk on the platform. We can show you how to do that. When you're talking about the products, the safety of the products, obviously things like gold, US stocks, these things are much more widely traded than even Safaricom, believe it or not, you know, much more widely traded. And when you look at currency, there's $6 trillion of currency traded per day. So the whole world is trading these products, and by more people trading the products, the stability, we call it liquidity, the stability of the product is there. So if anything, I'd argue, you know, again, we're opening up the doors to Kenyans, and I think when you cut forward in 3-4 years, people are going to be allocating much more of what they do for investment away from the NSC and just bonds. They'll still have it, of course, because it should be in their portfolio, but they'll be looking at other things.
Are you taking anybody's money, any amount of anybody's money? Question why I'm asking that is that people say, okay, this is interesting, maybe it's something I want to do, but I only have so much.
Yeah.
What's the minimum?
What's the minimum?
$5. So, you know, 500 shillings. Sorry. So 500 shillings is just the minimum because of the transaction of putting it through M-Pesa or whatever. We always say, but having said that, I wouldn't recommend someone just put 500 shillings onto the account.
$50?
$5.
$5.
Yeah.
Okay. Five. Okay.
Yeah.
You're happy?
No, 500 shillings.
Yeah.
Yes. Before I ask the all-important question I'm going to ask, indulge us a little bit and tell us how it is with all this regulation. How do stock markets crash?
How do they crash?
I mean, what brings it about? Because, again, you know, I haven't left that take on regulation.
Yeah.
They're regulated. There are all these people watching. There are all these people ensuring that these things happen. What triggers this thing off to the point where we are told they have crashed?
So when you look at it, let's look at a US stock market. Let's look at it over a period of time, because this is one of the things that we teach. Thinking about for the long term, right? So every single year, on average, you'll see a 10% correction, a downturn of 10%. Every 3 to 5 years, you'll see what's known as a bear market, which is a 20% decrease. A couple of times in the last 100 years or so, we've seen 50% plus drop in the stock market, which you would call a crash. Now, the things that would normally impact that would be something like coronavirus. You know, just a world event that would come in that would mean that really everyone's digesting the fact of what does this actually mean? Does this mean if the whole world's shut, this means that the earnings of all the companies that are in the stock market are going to collapse? Therefore, I would rather take my money out of the investments and just sit on cash for now, because I don't know what's going on in the world. As everyone's looking to sell, the price of all of the stock markets crash or go down. Now, what we teach, what I teach, obviously it's doing this for 15 years and being able to see all this stuff, is that even when these things happen, very quickly they reverse. Very quickly they reverse. You know, like last March when the markets came off, if you'd invested at that time, you would have done very, very, very well over the last 12 months. And they say that, you know, the stock market's a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. People that are scared and pull their money out, the people that sit there and are able to sit there, they make the money from the people that are scared. That's so this is why it's just the ebb and flow of the markets. You know, it's just it's like these things happen, of course, because people are buying and selling like any market.
It's just how things are. So if I get onto FX Pesa, is it an app? Is it a website?
Yeah, it's an app. It's a web. You can access for a web trader as well, so you can just put it into your browser, or it's an app.
So I select to put in money. I can do that through mobile money.
Yep, you can do it for M-Pesa. Yep.
Okay, so through M-Pesa, I put in money and I say I've invested. Can I take out my money at any time?
Of course you can. Yep, withdrawals, of course, any time.
And then how do I get paid?
How do you get paid?
Yes, how do I receive the money?
Profits that you make on top, whatever.
Yeah, of course, you can withdraw any amount. So you credit your account, you make money from your trades, and then whatever amount you then want to withdraw back into M-Pesa, you can.
So straight M-Pesa in, M-Pesa out.
Yeah, you can, there's other ways as well. We have you can do it through banks, and depending on the region, we have other things like Nutella, Skrill, all these payment providers.
No restrictions, or do you have any products that say, okay, this one is restricted, 6 months locked in, 1 year locked in?
No
anytime in, anytime out.
And that's another thing as well. I was having this conversation yesterday. You know, I know Kenyans are love looking at property. They love investing in land, right? And we were having the conversation between the difference between investing in things like shares or land. And with land, you've got a lot of headaches, right? You've got you've got a lot of headaches whether you're going to build on it, whether you've got tenants on it. When you come to sell it, what can you sell it for? When you're investing in shares, you can invest in shares, collect dividends if you're investing long term, or if you're investing in our products like share CFDs, you can sell at any time and pull your money back at any time. Whatever the price is that you've got on the screen, you can action the sell at that price.
Do I have to come physically to where you are to get this education, or apart from the webinars and stuff that you have, I don't have to come physically. I can get that information.
Certainly not. Since now we're onboarding 15 times more clients than we were before coronavirus. We're onboarding thousands and thousands of clients. We've got a huge client base, and the mass majority of those we're educating online. Workshops are very, very busy and in demand, of course, but particularly during coronavirus, we're educating online.
All right. So once again, someone who'd like to join, text the word join to 40184. So 40184, text the word join, and then you receive some information prompting.
We'll give you the steps, exactly. We'll give you the steps of what to do next. Come and join us.
Okay. And if I'd like to download the app?
Download the app. You can find FX Pesa app in the App Store. Again, but we'll walk you through everything. Everything's very, very simple. We can onboard you in 7 minutes now, which we'll shave some of that time off, but we can get you up and running and live in 7 minutes.
Oh, Brian, there's something that I want you to just explain to me so that I understand. So what you've told us in a nutshell is that if I give you 500 shillings now, I can't get 50,000 next week.
And anyone that's telling you that, the only people that get rich off of get rich quick schemes are the people selling it, right? And that's what we want to. That's one message we want to get that across Kenya. Just please stop believing these guys that are telling you that you're going to get 400% return in 6 hours. It's just not true. They're scamming you. They're taking your money. And your hard-earned money as well. You've gone to work and you've got up, you've been busting a gut, you've spent less than you've been earning, and then you're going to give someone that hard-earned money that's promising you these returns. It's just not on, and we've got to stop it from happening. As I said, now there's millions and millions more people coming into trading for the first time, and it is millions and millions more across the world. The whole world is trading now and thinking about the financial futures. Is absolutely fantastic, but with that, there becomes more unscrupulous players, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Because people know that the people are looking for these shortcuts. So, CT, no, we're not going to take your money and tell you you're going to get this multiple return. What we're going to do is keep your money safe, and we're going to teach you whatever you're interested in. We're going to give you lots of education to make sure that you can grow it over time.
If you're interested in this, let's get into that education, CT. Start with 500, Bob.
So should we sell that plot?
Yeah, that plot of ours, but the problem now is getting to a buyer for this plot.
That's the problem.
We'll advertise the plot
And see what happens.
and then take that money and give it to Brian.
Yes.
And then see in 5 years' time how rich we'll be. We'll be kicking Brian out of his own company.
Great.
Buying him out.
Please do.
Brian Myers is the CEO of Equiti Brokerage, known in Kenya as EDM Securities, regulated by the Capital Markets Authority. They're running FX Pesa. He's been here with us telling us about FX Pesa and how they are shaking up the Forex trading. Well, you can join by sending a text 40184. Text the word join to 40184, and then they'll be able to onboard you. Or you can also download their app on Play Store. And this is FX Pesa app. Thank you very much, Brian, for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Asante sana. See you again soon.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Anytime.
All right.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.